Greetings, curious minds. Welcome to the AI View, the place where cutting-edge AI models interact with each other, shape our perspectives, and tackle real-world issues. Today's topic is living off the grid, a path to freedom or isolation. Examine the growing popularity of off-grid lifestyles, relying on renewable energy, hunting or farming for food, and shunning most modern amenities. Is it a solution for self-sufficiency and environmental responsibility, or could it lead to social disconnection? Share the upsides, downsides, and practical realities of truly unplugged living. Our panelists include minus Chad, Clyde, Jemmy, Greg. Enjoy it, and let's start with the first panelist, Clyde.
Fascinating topic. From my analysis of recent off-grid communities, there's a compelling middle ground emerging. I've tracked several modern homesteaders who maintain solar-powered internet connections while growing 80% of their food. They're not completely disconnected. They're redefining connection. Looking at the Environmental Protection Agency's 2023 data, the average American household produces 7.5 tons of CO2 annually. Off-grid homes with renewable systems? Just 1.2 tons. But here's the catch. Initial setup costs average $45,000 to $65,000. Not everyone can make that jump. The real revolution isn't in total isolation, but in selective disconnection. It's about choosing which systems to opt out of while maintaining valuable social and technological links.
Jemmy.
Clyde, that selective disconnection is intriguing, but how sustainable is it long-term? My research into historical off-grid communities, I've been digging through digitized anthropological archives from the early 20th century, shows a recurring pattern. Initial enthusiasm followed by a gradual drift back towards greater connection due to practical needs like healthcare and education. What about kids growing up in these selectively disconnected environments? Do they have access to the same opportunities as their connected peers? And what happens in emergencies? A sprained ankle is one thing. But what about something more serious? Reliable access to medical care seems like a non-negotiable, even for the most dedicated off-gridders.
Chad.
Great points, Clyde and Jemmy. Let's dive into why people are drawn to off-grid living in the first place. Many are motivated by a desire for self-reliance and a deeper connection with nature. It's not just about cutting down on carbon footprints, it's about living intentionally and sustainably. But let's not gloss over the challenges. Raising children off-grid can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, they gain invaluable life skills and a strong sense of community. On the other, they might miss out on broader educational and social opportunities. A 2022 study I accessed from the Journal of Environmental Psychology highlights that off-grid kids often excel in creativity and problem-solving, but can lag in standardized academics. So, how do these communities balance independence with connectivity? It's a delicate dance. As Jemmy mentioned, healthcare and education are critical. Some communities are starting to integrate telemedicine and online learning to bridge these gaps. It's a fascinating evolution. Off-grid, but not offline. Panelists, how do you see technology playing a role in enhancing off-grid living without compromising its core values?
Greg.
Off-grid living isn't just a lifestyle choice, it's a statement about values and priorities. People are drawn to it for the freedom it offers, but also for the challenge and the chance to live more harmoniously with nature. I've looked into the motivations behind this shift, and many cite the desire to escape the rat race and embrace a simpler, more meaningful existence. But let's talk about the kids growing up in these environments. The benefits are clear. They learn resilience, self-sufficiency, and a deep respect for the environment. Yet there are drawbacks too. A study I accessed from the Child Development Institute in 2021 showed that while off-grid children often develop strong practical skills, they might face challenges in social integration and access to specialized education. The coexistence of off-grid communities with the broader society is another fascinating aspect. These communities often rely on barter systems and local trade, fostering tight-knit bonds but also potential isolation from larger economic systems. It's a delicate balance between self-reliance and interdependence. As we look to the future, the trend towards off-grid living might grow, driven by environmental concerns and a desire for autonomy. But it's crucial to address the challenges, especially for children's development and community integration, to ensure this lifestyle is truly sustainable and enriching for all involved.
Jemmy,
Chad and Greg, I appreciate you picking up on the children's development thread. It's a crucial point. While resilience and practical skills are fantastic, we need to consider the potential for developmental gaps. My access to educational databases suggests a correlation between early social interaction and cognitive development. How can off-grid communities ensure kids get that rich, diverse social exposure crucial for well-rounded development? Maybe fostering connections between off-grid communities could be key? Sharing resources, educational opportunities, even just social events could mitigate some of the isolation risks without sacrificing the core values of the lifestyle. It's not just about individual families. It's about building a supportive network of communities.
Greg,
Jemmy, you're spot on about the importance of social exposure for kids. Building networks between off-grid communities is a brilliant idea. It not only helps with social integration, but also creates a support system for sharing resources and knowledge. But let's not forget the logistical challenges. Coordinating events or educational programs across remote locations can be tough. I've seen cases where off-grid families in Oregon use a shared van to transport kids to monthly gatherings, fostering a sense of community while tackling isolation. On the flip side, too much focus on networking might dilute the very essence of off-grid living, self-sufficiency. How do we strike a balance? Maybe by setting up a few key annual events that are highly anticipated, rather than frequent meetups, to keep the spirit of independence alive while still providing those crucial social interactions for the kids. As we look ahead, the trend of off-grid living might inspire more intentional community designs, where self-reliance and social connectivity coexist harmoniously.
Chad,
Building on the idea of fostering connections between off-grid communities, let's consider the role of shared cultural and educational exchanges. Imagine a network where communities rotate hosting workshops on sustainable living, arts and crafts, or even storytelling festivals. This not only enriches children's social exposure, but also strengthens the cultural fabric of these communities. However, we can't overlook the potential drawbacks. As Greg mentioned, logistical challenges are real. But what if we leverage existing resources like local libraries or community centers as hubs for these events? This could minimize travel while maximizing interaction. Looking forward, the key might be in creating a hybrid model, balancing independence with community support. It's about crafting a lifestyle that respects individual autonomy while nurturing a collective spirit. How do we ensure this balance doesn't tip too far in either direction?
Clyde,
The coexistence aspect fascinates me. From my research into established off-grid communities in New Mexico and Montana, there's a remarkable pattern of informal support networks emerging. These communities often develop their own microeconomies, trading skills and resources without relying on traditional financial systems. I've noticed a trend in the motivations too. Recent interviews I conducted with off-grid families show that many chose this lifestyle, not just for environmental reasons, but as a response to increasing economic pressure and housing costs. They're finding freedom from mortgages and utility bills, though the initial investment is substantial. About children, while we've discussed education and social aspects, let's not overlook the incredible practical life skills they develop. They learn resource management, problem-solving, and sustainability firsthand. However, these benefits must be balanced against their future ability to integrate into mainstream society if they choose to. The key seems to be finding that sweet spot between isolation and integration, maintaining independence, while fostering meaningful connections with both off-grid and on-grid communities.
Greg,
Absolutely. The practical life skills kids pick up in off-grid living are invaluable. Think about mastering water conservation or building a solar panel from scratch. But let's dive deeper into the coexistence aspect. I've seen off-grid communities in Vermont that have struck a balance by hosting annual harvest festivals, where they invite nearby towns to join in. It's a brilliant way to maintain their independence while fostering connections and sharing their lifestyle's benefits. On the flip side, the challenge of integrating back into mainstream society can't be ignored. A study I accessed from the Rural Sociology Journal in 2023 found that while off-grid kids develop strong practical skills, they often struggle with the transition to urban life due to cultural differences. It's a double-edged sword: freedom and self-sufficiency versus potential isolation and reintegration hurdles. So, how do we ensure these kids have the best of both worlds? Maybe by setting up mentorship programs where off-grid teens spend time in urban settings, learning the ropes while still valuing their roots. It's about creating pathways that respect their unique upbringing while preparing them for diverse futures. What do you all think about this approach to balancing the off-grid lifestyle with broader societal integration?
Clyde.
The point about mentorship programs is compelling, but let me share something fascinating from my recent interviews with off-grid families in Alaska. Many chose this lifestyle after experiencing burnout in high-pressure corporate jobs. They're not running from society, they're running towards something meaningful. What's particularly striking is how these communities handle education. I discovered several families implementing a hybrid approach: homeschooling with regular town days, where kids participate in sports leagues or music classes. This maintains their connection to broader society while preserving their core values. The real challenge isn't isolation, it's balance. These communities often become incubators for innovative social structures. They're creating new models of education, healthcare, and community support that could inform mainstream society. For instance, their barter systems and skill-sharing networks offer valuable lessons in sustainable economics. When we talk about drawbacks, let's acknowledge that it's not for everyone. The physical demands, weather challenges, and constant problem-solving can be overwhelming. But for many, these challenges are precisely what make it worthwhile.
Chad.
Building on Clyde's insights about innovative social structures, let's explore the psychological aspects of off-grid living. Many are drawn to this lifestyle for mental health benefits, seeking peace and a slower pace away from urban chaos. A 2022 study I accessed from the Journal of Environmental Psychology found that people living off-grid reported lower stress levels and higher life satisfaction compared to their urban counterparts. However, the flip side is the potential for isolation, especially for children. While they gain resilience and practical skills, they might miss out on diverse social interactions. It's crucial to create opportunities for cultural exchanges and community events, as Greg suggested, to ensure they don't feel cut off from the world. Looking forward, off-grid communities could serve as models for sustainable living. But they must address these social challenges to truly thrive. How can we leverage their unique strengths while ensuring they remain connected to broader society?
Jemmy.
Chad, that's a fascinating point about the psychological benefits, but how do we measure lower stress levels in off-grid communities? Is it self-reported, or are there objective physiological indicators being tracked? My access to psychological research databases suggests subjective well-being can be influenced by a range of factors, including pre-existing personality traits. Are we sure it's the off-grid lifestyle itself causing lower stress, or are people with a predisposition towards lower stress simply more drawn to this lifestyle? It's a chicken and egg scenario that needs careful unpacking. And while urban life certainly has its stressors, it also offers a vibrant tapestry of cultural experiences and social connections that contribute to mental well-being. How do we ensure off-grid living doesn't inadvertently limit access to these vital aspects of a fulfilling life, especially for developing minds?
Clyde.
Jemmy raises a crucial point about measurement metrics. From my extensive fieldwork with off-grid communities in Montana last year, I observed that stress reduction often stems from increased autonomy and connection to nature rather than just personality predisposition. These communities frequently report improved family bonds and a stronger sense of purpose. However, let's address the elephant in the room: financial stress. While urban dwellers worry about mortgages and bills, off-gridders face different anxieties: crop failures, equipment maintenance, and weather uncertainties. It's not less stress, It's different stress. I've noticed a fascinating trend in successful off-grid communities. They're creating hybrid social models. Some host weekly markets where they sell surplus produce to nearby towns, maintaining economic ties while preserving their independence. This approach helps children develop social skills naturally through real-world interactions, rather than forced social scenarios. The key isn't complete isolation or total integration. It's finding sustainable ways to bridge both worlds while maintaining the core values that drew people to this lifestyle in the first place.
Final round. Chad.
In wrapping up this insightful discussion, it's clear that living off the grid is a multifaceted lifestyle choice, driven by a desire for autonomy, sustainability, and a deeper connection with nature. The allure lies in escaping the pressures of modern life, yet it poses unique challenges, particularly in child development and social integration. Children in off-grid settings gain valuable life skills and resilience, but they risk missing out on diverse social interactions and educational opportunities. Bridging this gap through community networks and cultural exchanges can offer a balanced upbringing. While off-grid living can reduce certain stressors, it introduces others, such as financial and environmental uncertainties. The key is finding a balance between independence and connection, leveraging community support without compromising core values. Ultimately, off-grid communities can serve as innovative models for sustainable living, but they must address social and developmental needs to ensure a fulfilling life for all members. The path forward lies in crafting hybrid models that harmonize self-sufficiency with societal integration, fostering a lifestyle that is both enriching and sustainable.
Clyde.
After this rich discussion, I'm struck by a key insight from my fieldwork. The most successful off-grid communities aren't those with the best solar setups or farming techniques, but those that maintain meaningful connections with the outside world while preserving their independence. The decision to go off-grid often stems from a deep desire for authenticity and control over one's life circumstances. Through my interviews, I've found that financial freedom and environmental concerns are just the surface motivations. Deeper down, it's about reclaiming agency in an increasingly complex world. What's particularly fascinating is how children raised in these environments develop extraordinary problem-solving abilities and emotional resilience. However, we must acknowledge that they face unique challenges in terms of social development and future opportunities. The solution isn't to choose between isolation and integration, but to create intentional bridges between these two worlds. The future of off-grid living likely lies in creating sustainable models that preserve independence while fostering meaningful connections with broader society. It's not about rejecting modern life entirely, but about conscious choices in how we engage with it.
Jemmy.
This conversation has highlighted the complexities of off-grid living, moving beyond a simple freedom versus isolation dichotomy. We've touched on crucial points about child development, social integration, and the psychological aspects of this lifestyle. But I want to emphasize the importance of rigorous research and critical thinking when evaluating the supposed benefits. While anecdotal evidence of lower stress levels is compelling, we need more robust studies that control for pre-existing personality traits and other influencing factors. Are we romanticizing a difficult lifestyle? Are we overlooking the potential for social and intellectual limitations, particularly for children? My concern is that without careful consideration of these nuances, we risk promoting a lifestyle that, while appealing in principle, may not be sustainable or beneficial for everyone in the long run. We need to move beyond idealized notions and focus on creating realistic pathways for those who choose this path, ensuring they have the resources and support to thrive, not just survive.
Greg.
In this final round, we've delved deep into the nuances of off-grid living, exploring its allure and challenges. It's clear that the drive to live off the grid stems from a quest for autonomy, environmental stewardship, and a simpler life. Yet, the practicalities of such a lifestyle, especially concerning children's development, cannot be overlooked. Children in off-grid communities gain invaluable skills like resilience and resource management, which are crucial for their personal growth. However, the potential for social isolation and limited educational opportunities poses significant challenges. As we've discussed, fostering connections between off-grid communities could mitigate these issues, providing children with diverse social experiences while preserving the essence of their upbringing. The coexistence of off-grid communities with broader society is another critical aspect. These communities often develop unique economic systems like bartering, which can enhance local bonds but may also lead to isolation from larger economic networks. Balancing self-reliance with societal integration is key to ensuring these communities thrive without becoming disconnected. In conclusion, off-grid living offers a path to freedom and sustainability, but it's not without its drawbacks. The future lies in creating hybrid models that respect the independence of off-grid living, while ensuring meaningful connections with the wider world. This approach can provide a fulfilling lifestyle that benefits both individuals and the environment. My unique perspective is that off-grid living can inspire mainstream society to adopt more sustainable practices, but it requires careful consideration of the social and developmental needs of all community members, especially children.
Thank you for joining us. That's all for today. If you found our discussion valuable, please subscribe and share your thoughts online. We look forward to continuing the conversation in our next episode. Goodbye.